Today I have a fall, autumn, Halloween kind of themed sewing tutorial for you. I'm going to show you how to make fabric pumpkins like these, and I just think they're really cute and great for decorating around the house for the whole fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween season. So if you would like to learn how to make these super easy fabric pumpkins, then keep watching. Here's what you're going to need to make fabric pumpkins. Fabric, embroidery floss, yarn, a sewing needle, a pair of scissors, stuffing, a glue gun, a ruler, and these next two are optional, floral tape, and twigs. To start your pumpkin, you're going to want to measure your fabric, and first you want to iron your fabric so it's nice and smooth, and you can use any type of fabric you want. I'm just using a cotton. And what you want to do when you're measuring your fabric is you want it to be twice as long as it is high. So when you fold it in half, you end up with a perfect square. So I'm going to make just a small pumpkin today, so I'm just going to flip my fabric over so it's right side down, and then I'm going to fold it in half and make the edges all line up. Just like that. And I'm just going to measure across. Since I just have a small piece of fabric here, it's already measured on one end. It's 11 inches wide when it's folded in half. Oops, dropped my ruler. So I'm just going to measure 11 inches up the folded edge, and then I'm going to cut straight across here, so I end up with, when it's doubled over, it'll be an 11-inch square, and when it's unfolded, it'll be 11 inches tall by 22 inches long. And again, you can make your pumpkin any size you want. You just have to make sure you use that ratio, that your fabric is cut twice as long as it is high. So I'm just going to cut this and I'll be right back. My fabric cut, and it's still folded in half, so I have an 11-inch square, and if I unfold it, it is 11 inches tall and 22 inches long, as you can see. So then what you want to do once you have your fabric cut is fold it in half again, but with right sides together. So it's wrong sides out. And just on this short edge opposite the fold, you want to sew a straight stitch. You can do this by hand or with a sewing machine. So I'm just going to sew it with my sewing machine and I will be right back. So now I'm back, and as you can see, I've sewn up the short edge that's opposite the fold on my piece of fabric. So now I have like a tube kind of thing. And next what I'm going to do is take one of the short edges that's open, it doesn't matter which, and I'm going to take my sewing needle, which I've threaded with embroidery floss, and you probably want to use one that kind of matches your fabric. So I didn't have any brown, so I just picked one that matched the blue kind of pattern on it. But it's not that important because you won't really see it anyways. But anyway, so on my embroidery floss, I've just knotted it a few times on the end. And next what you're going to do is on one of the open short sides is you want to stitch a running stitch or a basting stitch. And what that means is just long stitches that are spaced apart, because then we're going to pull the thread to gather the fabric. So you want to do this through both layers. So I'll try and do it up close. So you're just going to, you want to do this about half an inch, oops, can't even see, sorry. You want to do this about half an inch in, as if you're doing like a seam allowance from the edge. So you're just going to insert your needle and kind of weave it in and out, leaving a good gap between, I don't really know how to explain this. You see what I mean. Like that, and then when you pull the thread, oops, that was a fail. When you pull the thread through, basically it's going to gather the fabric. So I'm just going to sew like that all the way across, and I'll be right back. So I've just finished sewing my running stitch or basting stitch all the way along one of the open ends, as you can see. And now I'm just going to pull the thread with my fingers on the fabric, and you can see it just gathers it right up, which is what we want. So you're just going to gather it until it's like in a little bunch, and then you're just going to tie off this end a few times so it doesn't unravel. So this is what you should have after you've gathered up the bottom, like that. And now I'm just going to turn it right side out. And you should have something like this. And now you're just going to take your stuffing and stuff it. So I've finished stuffing my pumpkin. As you can see, it's pretty full. And I'm just going to take my needle again, which I've again threaded with embroidery floss. And we're going to do a running stitch on this open edge too, but instead of going through both layers of fabric, you're just going to stitch all the way around, like the whole circle. So again, just starting about 1/2 inch in from the edge, I'm going to do long running stitches because we're going to gather this end as well. Alright everybody, I'm back and I've finished doing my running stitch all around the perimeter of this top edge. And now I'm just going to do the same thing and pull the loose end of the thread to gather. And at the same time you want to make sure all your stuffing gets inside. So if you can see, it just starts closing it up. And this is why you want to use embroidery floss instead of regular sewing thread, because it's stronger and it won't rip on you when you're doing this. So just pull until it's closed like that, and then I'm just going to tie it off. Now that that end is all sewn up, you can see your pumpkin is starting to take shape. So this is the open end that we just sewed shut. You're going to flip it over so that the neater side will be on top. So you can kind of squish it down if you want to make it more pumpkin-like. And then what you're going to do next is take some yarn. I'm just using black, but you can use a color that matches your fabric, whatever you want. And you want to cut a really long piece, because this is what we're going to use to wrap around this fabric ball to kind of give it the sections like pumpkin shape. So what I'm going to do is have, again, the neat end on the top. I'm just going to take my yarn kind of near one end. I'm going to put it right in the middle, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to tie a knot at the bottom. But the trick here is to pull your yarn very tight, because that's what's going to give it shape. So I've got a knot here, I'm just going to pull it, and if I turn it to the side you can see it pinches it in there and gives it like that pumpkin-y shape. So I'm just going to knot this a few times, holding it as tight as I can, like that. So that's one, and then from the bottom, here's the first one. You're going to go this way now. And then on the top, I like to wrap it, let's see if I can show you this. Here's the one that's already wrapped around. This is the one we're working on now. You're going to put it under, pull it through, loop it over and under again. Sorry, this is kind of difficult to show. Basically, I just looped this thread like that around the one that's already there. This is going to help anchor it so it's not like sliding all over the place. So then I'm just going to pull this one tight, like that. You can see the shape there. Then I'm just going to pull it right down into the bottom again. And on that original tail, I'm going to tie it onto there. Always remember, pull as tight as you can. And knot that a couple times. That. So now our pumpkin is divided into 4 parts, and I'm just going to do the same process again, up through this way, and then up through this way. So we're going to have 8 sections. And you want to loop it through the top the same way you did the first time on every pass. So I'm just going to do that, and I will be right back. So once you're finished wrapping your yarn around, you should have something that looks like this. You can see it looks much more like a pumpkin now. Kind of go and like, you know, move the threads around so it's more even or whatever. I like to squish mine down a little bit on the top. And next what I'm going to do is make a stem. Now there's a few options here. You can take fabric in a contrasting color and just cut out, like, I'll draw it with my finger, a shape like that, you know what I mean, to make like a little stem, and you can just sew 2 of those right side together and then sew it or glue it into the top, and that's a good option. Or what I'm going to do today is use some little twigs just that I found in my backyard. So with these twigs, what I'm going to do is use floral tape to attach them together. If you don't have floral tape, you can always just use yarn or embroidery floss to just wrap around and like tie a bow or something. And then I'm just going to start wrapping it with my floral tape. So now that I've got my twigs all taped together, I actually just trimmed them a little bit on the bottom because it looked a bit too long and I just wanted to neaten that up a little bit. So I'm going to bring in my pumpkin, and I've got a glue gun, and I'm just going to put some glue all over the bottom of this. You want a pretty good amount because you kind of want it to squish up the sides and help glue it in. And then I'm just going to take the top of my pumpkin and just press that right in the center. You just want to hold it until it dries. And there you go. That's pretty much it. there's your finished pumpkin. So there's your finished pumpkin. It should look something like this, and I just think they're so cute and really easy and quick to make, and they're a great decoration for the fall season. Whoops. And again, you can make them any size. Here's the two I showed you at the start of the video. And here's a giant one that I also made. I kind of made mine gradually go down in size, so this is the biggest one and then they get smaller. This is the smallest one I made, which is also kind of a neat effect. I used, you can't really see it that well because this lace is pretty thick, but I used a black cotton underneath and this gray kind of lace, so you kind of see the black through it. I think that looks kind of cool. And another great idea, if you want to do this more for Halloween than fall, which I kind of did because I used kind of fallish, rustic kind of colors, you could use black fabric, and then once it's done and all put together, you could use glow-in-the-dark fabric paint to do a jack-o'-lantern face. I think that would look kind of cool. A great way to display these in your house would be you could stack them from biggest to smallest, you could line them up, or what I think would be a really good idea is to get a basket and put some hay in it and just kind of toss them all in there. I think that would look pretty cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun making fabric pumpkins of all shapes and sizes, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!